Okay, Dubkasm. To start, can you introduce Dubkasm crew?
Greetings to each and everyone. I'm DJ Strider from Dubkasm.
I'm Digistep, also from Dubkasm, out of Bristol.
Yeah. You run your label since 2003 with your first production, Huntsman Trod. What can you tell us about that?
Well, we were encouraged to launch our own label because two sound systems were playing Dubkasm dub plates at the time, Abashanti and Jashaka. Through hearing these at places like the University of Dub at the Brixton Recreation Centre and places like Notting Hill Carnival and the Rocket Club, and also Iratian Steppers playing some tunes as well, it encouraged us by seeing the reaction of people in the dance, hearing the dub plates, that these tunes are ready to release. So we that encouraged us to launch Sufferer's Choice Recordings and dubkasm.com the same year in 2003.
Okay. When first this was a dub plate?
That tune, I think that tune was built for release, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Strictly Ital and Hornsman Trod. So the other tunes were different, which we were hearing on dub plate, on sounds.
Yes.
But that tune we thought, okay, let's build one for actual release. And we were very critical on ourselves at the time, because we're forever learning, as we were young in the scene, especially then, and various people helped us out, and with that tune in particular, Disciples gave some really helpful critique of the tune, and it helped strengthen the end result, didn't it?
Yeah, we've been really lucky right from the early days, having the support from people who we've looked
like
up
Rusty,
to.
yes.
Yeah, and ABBA as well. My involvement with the Shantyites, I used to play saxophone in the Shantyites. That meant that it brought our link even closer, and just involvement in that whole scene. It taught us a lot, and it gave us a lot of good experiences that enriched the music.
Okay. Next question: who are the artists with you have worked on your Dubkasm label, Sufferer's Choice label?
Well, there've been quite a few, haven't there?
Yeah.
A lot of artists?
Yeah, I would say that how that came about, first of all, is the artists we worked with were kind of friends, really, because the first artist was someone called Ras Addis,
yes.
From a sound system called Negus Melody from Bristol, and he was a great friend, and so it was just it was a natural thing to unfold at the time for people to kind of, it wasn't even to collaborate with, we were all friends anyway, doing music, really.
It was just a vibe, really.
It was just a vibe, yeah. And then that led on to us thinking of artists that we loved the sound of, so Tenor Stelling was another person, and then we went, in those early years, we were hoping to voice Ras Aya.
From I&I Oneness? From
I&I Oneness, and a brethren, Ras Natural, said he was going to come along to the studio with Ras Aya, and we were going to record some works. But Ras Aya couldn't make it, so Ras Natural said, but don't worry, I'm bringing my brethren, and he's a fireman from Jamaica.
Okay.
And then Lidge Xylon turned up to the studio, and this is the first time we'd met Xylon, and Xylon is a very special brother, and his presence was very strong in the studio, and he came, and that day he voiced a tune called The Order, which is now only just been released on our album Brixton Rec, and he also released a song called Every Lion, which was the Jashaka dubplate anthem. So that's when they were first voiced, and we made that connection with Xylon. And generally, these connections, because of the way we work with people and we like to reason and keep in touch, these artists become friends, and great friendships were formed over the years. So we didn't work with you know, some labels try and work with as many artists as possible, and we didn't actually. That wasn't the way we went about things. We just slowly connected with people, and these friendships unfolded, and then we found Dub Judah, and then it led on to Levi Roots. And
from the foundation,
yes,
on your own label.
Yeah,
I think we don't try to focus on the results, more focus on the process of the music making and the collaboration. So we get a lot more energy out of linking an artist, spending time with that artist and reasoning, and then recording together.
Before recordings.
Yeah, and we get much more vibes out of that than the prospect of releasing it. You know, we would rather do something like that, really heartical sort of music making process, and with people that, you know, we feel we're on a level with, than just you know, a marketing plan.
Yeah, and we tend to work with an artist when we're doing that with a project in mind. So rather than having stacks and stacks of tunes with singers just sat there, we tend to work. We focus very heavily on the project of the moment. And generally what happens is we enjoy those works, like Digi says, as they unfold, and then that track gets released. So it's all part of the whole process, you know.
Okay. So you can tell us what are your best memories in studio?
That's difficult. You can try that.
Many more.
One of the best memories?
Or maybe the most funny, or the most incredible,
yes.
or...
Wow, this is so many times. I would say, for me personally, one of the best moments was recording Dub Judah singing the tune from the foundation, because it was done in his studio, the Dubkasm studio. Digi was still living in Brazil at the time.
Yes, yes.
And so Digi had sent the rhythm over with the Brazilian berimbau on, and I went up and linked up Judah in his studio, and the vibe that Dub Judah generates and creates is incredible. You know, he's like a dub genius, and very deep and very spiritual. You know, and the vibes that night were incredible. There was a lot of herb smoking and writing of lyrics and in-depth reasoning about what each line of the lyric meant, and this went on for hours, and I think it was finished at like 7 in the morning. You know, it went right the way through.
The vibes on this one is very big.
Yeah, it was, and that's why
I have the 7-inch, and it's a regular play on your own sound system.
Oh, excellent!
Yes.
That's good to hear.
Big thing.
It's hard to get the 7-inch these days, so it's nice that you have a copy. But yeah, that's why when you experience all that at the time, it's nice, because when you hear the tune, it takes you to the moment, you know. And that was a special, special studio experience for me. Yeah.
Okay.
I think that the studio that you're in has a real effect on you and your music making as a musician, and so there's been times when I've been, as a saxophonist as well as a producer, I've been in a studio, and it might be the most advanced studio, but everything's shiny and pristine, but there's no vibe, you know.
Very cold. And
yeah. And I was going to say, before Strider did, I was going to say one memory that stuck out in my mind was recently, very recently, Dub Judah asked me to play saxophone on some of his tunes, and so Strider and I, and Camera as well, we went up to Nottingham, to his studio in Nottingham, and spent the day there, and I recorded about 4 or 5 tracks on saxophone, and also I played some keyboards as well on a couple of the tracks. And the way that, for starters, the atmosphere in the Dubtech studio is just so unique. It's like being inside the Black Ark studio.
Yeah.
It's just kind of, it's dark, and there's all these artifacts hanging from the walls, and just the atmosphere. There's all these like old weird bits of equipment everywhere, and
Dub Judas just collected lots of stuff, and it's full of it, isn't it?
yeah, you know, I'm looking.
Studio is
It's
a
like a
museum.
kind
yeah,
of
like a museum.
It's kind of like, it's not like a museum, like a collector's museum.
Yes.
He just has these things
Yeah,
lying
true.
around. Like, I say, well, what's that? It's this rack mount unit, and he's saying, oh, that's amazing. That is. It's a vocal canceller. So it's a unit specifically made to cancel the vocal. But going back to your point, the feeling and the experience of music making in that type of environment is so much more meaningful, and also you get so much more energy from it, and inspiration. So when I play saxophone, because I do saxophone with a lot of different producers, but I have to say, when I'm recording on Judas stuff, it's like it brings out another side of my musicality because of the depth that he puts into his music, and also just the environment you're playing in, and that whole, like Strider said, the experience as a whole, you know.
Yeah. Energy feeding energy, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, yeah, I got to also say, Dub Judas Studio is one of the most vibes places we've been.
Yes.
Sure.
You run the First Choice radio show on Passion Radio Bristol. This
Yes.
radio show began in 1996
Yes, that's correct.
and is still running to this day.
Yeah.
What can you tell us about this period?
Well, it's a long period.
Yes.
It started, as you say, in '96, and radio was the first. Radio was the way I got into reggae music. Lots of people say sound system was their first experience, but for me, radio came first, because it was a fantastic way to connect with a scene and a music, because you could listen at the time in my teenage bedroom. I could connect to this radio station and hear this music, and that's what introduced me to reggae. And then in turn, that's what introduced me and also Digi to go into dances and finding out where record shops were. So to then play my part on the radio was very, very special to me, because it had already given me so much as a youth. To be able to return that and to play my part was great. And I was very young, so I was 18 at the time, and so I was very keen and hungry to do the work, and so I would go and interview many artists.
Yes.
When they would come to London, like Augustus Pablo and Muta Baruka and Shaka, and this strengthened the show, and people in Bristol, you know, connected to it, and the listenership grew. So that's how it all started over the first sort of 10-year period, and then the internet came along, and then suddenly my Bristol listenership became a worldwide listenership, and it just grew, you know, and it's wonderful now, and that's really what keeps me going, because I've done this for free for 17 years, and so it's just through the love of the music and the message, but it's the vibes that the listeners give back that make it worthwhile, really. And now with us performing as Dubkasm, everywhere we go, there's always a handful of listeners that tune into the show, and it's great to meet people, and you know, and it's just wonderful. It's a wonderful way to spread the music. Sound system is still the sort of real heart of reggae, but radio is another very special medium to use, you know. So yeah, it's a lovely project.
And Nick Manasseh played to the First Choice now also.
Nick Manasseh played
1 month each.
Yes, he did the first Monday of every month throughout the year of 2011, I think. But he had to stop because he moved back to London.
Okay.
So that no longer happens. But that was a real honour that Nick Manasseh, because I grew up listening to Nick Manasseh shows, and so it's great. It was great that he could come on to my show. And now the new edition is to help me out, the last Monday of every month, Solo Banton now hosts the Sufferer's Choice show. So that's just started in 2013. He's done the first 2 shows.
Okay,
so
like a selector?
Selecting records.
Okay.
Because Solo Banton was in a sound system for many years, so he's got his own collection. So he's it's a great help, because as you know,
he's
from
not
doing
just
your
a
own
singer,
show,
like
no, he's a selector. He was a selector before he was a singer.
Yes, I heard.
So and as you know from doing your own show, it's a big commitment. So to have someone help you out each month is a great help, you know.
Yes. Okay. And Teachings in Dub is a Bristol-based roots and culture promotion.
Yes.
You can tell us something?
Yeah, Teachings in Dub began in 2007. I'd promoted dances way before that, from the late 90s, but then Teachings in Dub started because some students in Bristol said they wanted to get the student community involved in reggae, and a friend of mine called Pinch, who is a dubstep producer and DJ, was running his night called Subloaded, and an opportunity came up to promote both these nights in a 2-floor club. So Subloaded was upstairs and Teachings in Dub was downstairs, and in that period of 2007 and 2008, dubstep was very popular, and it was just blowing up, and so lots of young people would come along to this club for the dubstep, and they would come downstairs and discover roots and culture music for the first time, and often be blown away by sound systems like Abashanti and Iratian steppers and so on, and so it was great to see the young and the old mixing, because I first set these dances to be dub plate only from start to finish. So everything played from each sound was unreleased, and that created a special vibe as well. So some of the old roots men would come, and also youngsters would come along as well. And I'm really happy to have done that, because now Subloaded and Teachings in Dub have gone their own ways because the venue shut down, and Teachings in Dub is just a roots and culture session now.
Yes.
But some of those young people came along, and they've even started to build their own sounds and produce their own dub music, and it's handed on. And I think it's very, very important that the music is handed on to the next generation. Otherwise,
from Bristol,
it gets lost. Yeah.
Yes, from Bristol.
From Bristol. Yeah.
Okay. What do you think about the current dub scene in UK and the dub scene in all wide world?
In general.
In general?
The what? Sorry, the dub scene.
The actual new generation of the UK style.
Okay.
Today in a dub style and near sometimes dubstep.
The dub scene, yes.
The dub scene, yes.
What do you think about it?
I think it's got a very interesting side to it, because the younger people have been influenced by other styles of music, and then they've discovered dub, and maybe through other styles of music related, but it's still a very new thing. There isn't the history of sound system culture, and like Strider was talking about, listening to pirate radios. It's all a very important part in sort of understanding where the music's coming from. So I don't think it's a bad thing at all that, you know, this music is being influenced by other styles. Some people fight against that, which I think is wrong. I think, you know, in order to pass on the music to the next generation, you have to realise that they are a different generation. You know, technology changes, styles and tastes of music changes, and so some people do pigeonhole that crowd as being drug taking, not really listening to the music, just sort of pleasure seekers, and that's not always the case. There are a lot of young people out there seeking the music and trying to keep traditions like dub plate alive. You know, some good friends of ours from Bristol, Gorgon Sound,
yes,
Karen and Nick, yeah. Yes. When they play out, they cut all their stuff to acetate, you know, and they respect that tradition and they love it. So it's through the enthusiasm that they keep that going. So I think it's very easy for people to generalize because you know, it's a new crowd. They're young. It's a party crowd, and it's not the orthodox old school sound system crowd. But I think it's important to remember that they are the next generation.
Yeah.
So you have to try and show, you know, you have to try and kind of steer things in a positive direction, but also don't underestimate that there are people in the crowd that are taking in the music and they know about music as well. So I think it's just important to value the up and coming people as well,
because you never know what role they might go on to play. Some of those people, you know, it's crucial, and I think the responsibility of keeping certain traditional aspects of the scene alive actually lies with the sound system and artists playing, because the promoters, their responsibility is to get people into the dance. So if they're getting the young next generation in, it's then they're coming to see a show, and it's the sound system's responsibility to sort of you know, try and keep certain traditions alive. So you know, and to not be, like Digi said, to not be scared of slight change or new influences. You know, if approached in a conscious way, this is what makes the world wonderful, is that there's differences, you know, diversity.
Okay. Tonight you play on Blackboard Jungle sound system. How do you feel?
Well, we first played on Blackboard Jungle at Rotterdam, and that was the first time we'd heard Blackboard Jungle as well, and we were very impressed by the sound system.
In which year? Last year?
No, that was 2011, I think.
Yeah. Okay.
And because we play vinyl and acetate only,
Yes.
in this modern era where people play from laptop and CD quite often, sometimes when we turn up to sound systems or festivals, nobody has been playing any records, and you can turn up and play on a sound, and it's not set very well for vinyl, and it can be very frustrating. So it's a real pleasure for to play on Blackboard Jungle, because, you know, they do still run vinyl and they've got the system set up so well. It sounds warm, it sounds round, it sounds balanced and clean, and it's not harsh to the ear, you know, and we really respected that. And since we've loved playing on Blackboard, so we're very pleased to play on Blackboard tonight, you know, and showcase some of these dub plates that we've cut, you know.
I think it's a sound system which has obviously been built and planned with a lot of love, you know. It's very careful choice of different bits of equipment. I mean, for example, they use a real Sinair syndrome, which is like, you know, it's a traditional thing, but not everybody goes for it. They might have a sampler or something like that, but they're definitely got that traditional edge, which I like.
And we were so impressed by them that, talking of teachings in dub, I booked Blackboard to come and play, and they brought the sound system to Bristol as well, and it was wonderful to have a French sound system in Bristol playing alongside Iratian steppers, you know. So big up Blackboard Jungle, and also big up to all French sound systems and producers, because the scene is very long-standing here in France now, and I think it's important as UK artists to remember that, you know, it's no longer a new scene in France. It's been going for many years, and now you've got your own fantastic producers and sound systems and promoters and festivals. And you know, the scene, although I know France originally looked to the UK and the UK originally looked to Jamaica, but it's spread out, and it's you know, it's great to see people taking up these works all over the globe. Even in South America now, sound system culture is really growing and strong, and places like Chile and Argentina, Mexico, and Brazil, and up into Mexico as well. So, you know, I think it's very powerful times right now that it's spread so far.
I also feel like there's been an increase in quality, in quality control within music, because there's been times in the past where, especially when digital dub started to spread really, really quickly, and lots of people were making it. I mean, I'm not talking about during the kind of initial period, I'm talking about more recently. And now you notice that people are spending a lot more time on production and production values and recording live instruments as well as, you know, the digital stuff. And just there seems to be, you know, some really high caliber material being released.
And that's what we like to showcase during our set is the full range of roots music that has influenced us. So a revival tune, but then also a yard tune, and then also, you know, a heavy digital dub tune, so everyone can really jump up. But it's not just about that. It's about you know, Digistep plays saxophone, so there needs to be some slow, melodic, meditative tunes as well. You know, and I think it's nice to strike a balance and have a broad range, really.
Okay, this was the last question. Thank you, Dubkasm, and have a good session tonight.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Good fun.
Yes.
Keep up the radio show. Bless.